are you? Welcome to Radioacktiva, man.
It's great to be with you.
It's great talking to you. I'm loving the tracks we've heard so far from the Pickup of Full
of Pink Carnations. It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful. I came up with it, and even I struggle with it. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, you can imagine for us Spanish speakers trying to say "pickup full of pink carnations." You gotta sort of try it a few times.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Well, it's great having you with us in Radioacktiva Colombia. I read an interview you did about the upcoming album where you mentioned that nostalgia sort of fueled the band for this record. Can you tell me a bit about that? How can that sort of feeling fuel the record?
Well, I think that feeling fuels my life. I think to an extent it probably fills the lives of the other band members. I think it fills lots of people's lives, doesn't it? And I think that's actually always been a sort of central theme within the vaccines music and the vaccines world. Like I think, even in the way we sound, I think there's an element of nostalgia, and those lyrical concepts have always been nostalgic. So I don't think that's necessarily anything new, but I think that, the further you get down the road, the more there is behind you. But it's not necessarily any more certain what's in front of you. And so, yeah, I think I might not have talked about it in interviews yet, but I guess I've just been talking about it. Like we've been talking about it as a band, just this sense that never really knowing if you're running from something or to something, and whether or not you're there's the front cover of the album is me sort of driving down a desert highway actually, and you can't really tell if I'm looking in the rearview mirror or if I'm looking ahead of me. And I think that maybe is quite symbolic, I would say.
So that's a real picture, it's not like just an image you took from somewhere?
No, it's my forehead. Yeah.
Great, because even though everything's so digital, I always like to ask about the album art, and I saw the picture, of course, the car and everything. I was to ask you about that.
Well, there is something mildly digital about it, in that it was taken on my little film camera, and it wasn't actually pixelated enough to be an album cover, so we had to convert it to AI, but it is real. The image is real.
Okay, cool. And where's the highway?
In Joshua Tree, in the Joshua Tree Desert in Southern California, near LA.
You were there for any particular reason?
I was spending the weekend there. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the nostalgia thing, because it's funny, if you kind of listen to these songs, English is not my native tongue, so I gotta go through the songs a few times to really get the lyrics, but if you listen to the whole song, the songs a few times, and you don't understand the lyrics initially because it's not your native language, you get these hopeful moments, like Heartbreak Kid has a few moments that it's just explosive. So when you sort of understand the thing, you kind of get that mix between a heartbreak but still hopeful. So I wanted to know how it worked for this record.
Well, again, I think as with nostalgia, there's always been hope, I think, in all of our songs. I think there is this I always say that our songs are this mixture of melancholia and euphoria. I think fear and hope, in my mind at least, are the two most enduring human emotion, strongest human emotions. But I think normally hope beats fear. So I think there is this there is this euphoria and this positivity, and I don't think it's a particularly negative record. I think there's always hope. If there wasn't hope, you wouldn't keep driving, to come back to that analogy. So yeah, definitely hope in the music, I think.
It also surprised me that it sounds so far very different from Back in Love City. Was this what the band was looking for, depart from something to show a different kind of sound for the people who are listening to the vaccines?
Well, I think every time you make a record, you're from a musical, perspective, there's a bit of an excavation and post-mortem that goes on, and you figure out what you enjoyed about the process, and and the outcome of the last record, and how you want to refine it and how you want to change it. And I think there's that sort of conscious kind of decision making and process that goes on. And then there's also just the fact that, you know, 2 years or 3 years or 4 years on, you're different people at different stages in your life. You know, in this case, there's a slightly different lineup, and so I think it's, you know, more often than not, it's kind of it's sort of as subconscious as it is this kind of conscious, deliberate thing. And I think it's just you're hoping that a record is, you know, a good album really is, I always think, is something that feels honest and authentic, and so I suppose you're hoping that whatever you write and record is a sort of a reflection of that, I guess.
Well, so far I really like those 2 songs we have so far.
Thank you.
Tell me about working with Andrew Wells. I noticed you guys have never worked with the same producer twice.
This is true.
Tell me about that, please.
Well, again, I think that's, you know, I think that one of the great things about bringing a producer into the fold when you are a band is it kind of that you're sort of welcoming an extra member into the lineup. And I think with that comes, you know, fresh perspective and I guess like a certain skill set that maybe you feel, you know, you're not lacking, but that could be, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but I think they kind of become these, you know, extra band members. And so I think it's always an opportunity to keep things fresh and try something new every time you do make a record and have this new input and perspective. So that's why we've never worked with the same people twice. And Andrew was great. A friend suggested we met up, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and we went for coffee and started talking about music, and seemed to me like we were on the same page with a lot of things, and also with the vaccines. You know, he, I think, was a fan and had a quite clear vision for where he thought, even before we talked about working together, where he thought the vaccines should be heading as a fan. And I found that conversation inspiring, and we got in the studio and started making some music together. And, you know, it doesn't always work. It doesn't mean that you're not like good at what you do or that you're bad at what you do, but sometimes it's just about finding this like harmony, and it felt pretty effortless and enjoyable from the off. So I don't know, he seemed like a great fit, and he was in the end. It was I think he brought everything we hoped he would and more. So that's good.
But, you know, explain me something. Like, do you have these songs or the idea of how you want the new record to sound, and then you decide who to work with as a producer? Because I think it's a perfect match from what I've heard Andrew has done with Phoebe Bridgers to what we are listening on these tracks from the vaccines. So I was wondering if you had the idea in your mind, or you just went through the highway to find the sound of this.
No, I think actually, you know, so I think I think it's like a case by case basis. Some albums you go into knowing exactly what you want to do and who you want to do it with, and you hope that they want to do it with you. And I think other times it's just these series of happy accidents, and you're sort of it's a game of chance. And I think maybe on this record it's more of the latter.
Well, I'll be really looking forward to listen to the whole thing. I also read maybe a press release or something that the pickup full of pink carnations. It's like a misread lyric from American Pie or something like that.
It's like a misremembered lyric. Yeah.
Okay.
Lyric. And I think that's like, that feels nicely symbolic to me, because we often misremember the past in more convenient ways. So I am for our hearts and minds. So I don't know, it felt like very poetic to me, not in a literal sense, but just in a kind of emotional sense. Yeah. And I will also say, I don't know, I know you've got a set of questions, but I wanted to say, when I saw that we were talking, that Tim, who's also in the vaccines, and myself, we came out to Colombia and did like a bunch of we were in Medellin for like a month last year, like just as we were like in between sessions for the album. We were in Colombia and we had an amazing time.
Is that right? Tell me a bit more about that. Where in Colombia? Which city?
We went to Medellin. Am I saying that right? Medellin. And we were there for like 3 weeks or something. A friend who's Chilean had said, if you're going to go anywhere in Latin America, go to Colombia. And so we did, and we had like an amazing time and made loads of music, and yeah, it was amazing.
It's great to hear. You know, funny thing about Colombia is that it's a country that has a bit of each country. You know, you have mountains and desert and everything. So that's one of the things that make Colombia geographically so interesting. And of course, if you guys are coming for the first time, you'll be amazed.
Yeah, no, we've never played in Colombia, and it kills me. It's somewhere that we've always wanted to play, and we're yet to play a show there. So we've made music there, but we haven't performed there, which is like, yeah, we need to put right, I think.
Yes, because I've heard that you guys would be coming to Latin America. I don't know, specifically Colombia.
It would be nice. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
That's great, man. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a pleasure. I guess we could talk about music for hours, man, but I'm pretty sure you have a long day of press ahead. Really looking forward for the whole record. It did amaze me, the whole mix between the melancholy and all that, and the hopeful that it can feel. So that's good to hear that the band is always trying different things. This is a very different from back in Love City, even the riffs in the guitar.
Yeah. No, it is. Well, hopefully we'll continue to,
Well, great.
Yeah,
great.
But it's nice to, hopefully we'll see you in Colombia.
Yeah, hopeful. Have a very nice day. Thank you very much.
See you later, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.